Good afternoon. So we've had a few people asking what this screen in the background of some of our videos does. What does it do for us in Passage? And we either run this tablet up here or down on the chart table. And we assume that the boat already has all the instrumentation, electronics, charts you need to cross a large body of water. Currently we're on passage from the Azores to the UK. We're about 7 days in, a few days left to run. And this particular app on the tablet is designed to give us, I guess, a scorecard of how well we're doing in overall terms on the passage. The tablet itself is in itself unremarkable, I guess. This is a Galaxy ruggedized tablet, but could potentially be anything. And if I look at the display now, what we're currently looking at is down towards the bottom where it says dust. That's the bearing 60 degrees true. That's the bearing along the Great Circle route to our destination. At the moment happens to be in Plymouth. The one above it where it says COG, that's the course over ground. So that's actually the route we're currently running. And that means we're about 15 degrees off to port of the perfect, I guess, most direct route to our destination. That's okay at the moment. The wind is being kind of fickle and pushing us all in every which way. In a few minutes that'll drift back to being closer to our actual desired course. The one above it, or the two above it, the SOG is the speed over ground of the boat. So that's our current speed using the GPS in the device itself. And the VMG underneath it, the vector made good, that is the apparent progress we're making towards our destination, bearing in mind we're currently not headed in quite the right direction. So our apparent closing of the distance towards our destination at the moment is just under 6 knots, even though our actual speed over the ground is 6 knots. This data is all averaged over about 60 seconds. Because the other thing about being in a boat, a smallish boat like this one on an ocean, which is quite bouncy, is that from second to second, any of the readings about where we're going vary quite a lot. And we tend to get a bit enthusiastic when we're surfing slightly down some swell, as we occasionally do here. And the speed picks up and we think, brilliant, we're doing really well. So rather than cherry picking, it just averages all of the stats so that we know in a very smoothed out kind of way actually how well we're doing. The choice of destination is just made off a map. So this is currently what we're looking at. We've got a marker in there showing our end destination in Plymouth, very approximately. Remember, this is just for the long distance ocean crossing bit. When it comes to being inshore again and back to coastal navigation, all that fine detail becomes important. In the middle of a journey like this, we're essentially in a featureless landscape, and chart detail is relatively unimportant considering there is very little to pick up on. It's all the same in all directions. So this is again for the middle part of our journey. The other thing I can do with this display is that we can create little log entries. So this list here allows us to bookmark things as we go. And we also keep a paper log as usual, but this allows us to bookmark small things which we think are relevant to course making. And quite often I'll bookmark things in here and copy them into the log later. So as an example here, I have recorded 19 minutes ago, there's been a wind shift, and I can then see that in the time elapsed since then, so in those 19 minutes, we can have a look and see how far we've come. And again, gives us an average of the speed over ground and the course over ground for the boat during that time. So again, picking up on very slow moving large-scale averages of our progress rather than minute by minute. So the nav screen basically becomes our scorecard of how we're doing. And you'll also notice on the bottom here, we have this little AIS reference, which currently is showing very little information other than the AIS system on the boat last picked up another vessel an hour and 12 minutes ago. And we've noticed that on a long passage, you tend to become a little complacent about when other vessels might crop up, because once you haven't seen one for a day, you tend not to worry about it. But there is always a risk that you're not paying attention to other vessels. So this just simply flags up when another vessel is spotted on the system, and keeps it live for, I can't remember, it's about 30 minutes or so, so that as you're walking by and you glance at the screen, you can say, oh, that's interesting, there is another vessel out here, I should start to pay attention, and probably do that by going back to the main boat systems and checking out where this vessel is and what the potential for collision is. But at least having a warning on this screen is really, really useful. So what we found is, between me and the various crew I have on board from time to time, this kind of like statistical dashboard is what we all refer to the most, apart from obvious other things like wind speed, just to see how well we're doing, especially on watch handovers. Pleased to say we're slowly drifting back on course now, so our course over ground is getting closer to where we want to be. And then the last thing which we flick on once a day just to see what's happening is, given that we have this list of point-to-point information that we've recorded in the log, and we have our current vector made good, the question is, well, when are we going to get there, roughly speaking? And so there's an ETA tab on the screen which picks up on various of these statistics, and there's probably better ways of doing this, and in this case to give us 3 options, which is we're either going to get there Sunday afternoon, Sunday towards midnight, or possibly the day after, depending on which of the stats you pick as the most representative of what's going to happen between now and then. And like all good apps, along the top here it has a simplified progress bar, so this is how complete are we on this voyage, and that gives you a quick visual representation for whether to be elated or gloomy, depending on whether you want to get there or not. If this looks useful, then I think it might be a good idea for me to make it available on app stores, and I guess the purpose of this video is to gauge kind of what level of interest there might be before I bother doing such a thing. So let me know in the comments. I appreciate this is kind of niche because it does imply that you're away from shore for a few days and you want to keep that general sense of how are we doing. If you are mostly doing coastal sailing, I can't see this being of a great amount of use, possibly more of a hazard than an assistance. But certainly out here, if you're beyond land by some margin, then I'd be interested to see what you think.